Okay, so this is the Nolan plantation.
Oh, so fabulous.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel once again. It's your girl Dumebi. If this is your first time coming across my channel, you're welcome. I do hope you decide to subscribe, and if you are a returning subscriber, you guys know that I love you. It's so good to have you here. Welcome back. So before we get into today's video, I just want to put a disclaimer out there. This video is strictly for educational purposes. I do not encourage you to go searching out the person that I talk about in these videos. Do not send them any hate, any threats, any kind of hate comments or violence or anything like that. This channel does not support that. I'm strictly just reporting on it for educational purposes. That is what this video is about. So today's video is about this palm colored woman who got called out for having the weirdest kind of hobby. Let me play this video right now.
Major trigger warning. This white woman goes around a bunch of slave plantations in Georgia as a fun little hobby. Now, fun fact about this woman, she's a teacher in high school.
I do teach high school full time.
Now, she says this house is on a plantation.
I'm back at the Harville house in Statesboro, Georgia. I got a lot of comments about how it was a slave plantation and all of that. And y'all, it was not a slave plantation. Again, I don't know where that came from. I don't know who started that rumor.
The Harville house. Where could that be? The Harville House Barn, LLC in Bullock County, Georgia, where white people think it's okay to take wedding photos by a cotton plantation. They have their nice little wedding setup with good catering with a nice little pretty cake. And just as a reminder, they take a picture of the cotton field. But since you love history so fucking much, you should want to care about the history of this house, right? Even if it was, get over it like it's your fault. Good Lord, cancel culture. She comments, exactly, thank you, that's what I said. LOL. LOL. So you, a high school teacher, thinks slavery was funny,
People will put words into your mouth that you never said. People will take your videos and turn them into what they want them to be and not what they really are.
So when somebody commented, so who do you think worked on the land on his grand house in the 1800s in real Georgia? And you said, here we go, as you roll your eyes behind your head.
People will assume things about you that are absolutely not true. And, for example, if you say a home is beautiful, that's not saying what happened at that home is beautiful. And it's not to even say that anything bad happened there. Y'all get what I'm getting at here. So
Assume nothing bad happened there, huh?
Group in Bullock County is remembering the lives of slaves by touring their graves. News 3's Khalil Maycock takes us on the tour.
Bullock County. That sounds familiar. But you love history, right?
Where some of the formerly enslaved African Americans from Bullock County are buried.
This is a part of American history, Georgia history, Bullock County history, but often not included in the textbooks.
But that's the history you don't want to talk about, right? Because when somebody comments, I knew someone would comment slave plantation. I knew it. So sick of the left. You went ahead and fucking liked it. But instead of being upset about the atrocities that happened in the house, which you didn't like these comments, you went ahead and liked the comments where it says it's beautiful, right? So miss, I just broke your shit down. My name is Eric Stone. Doses.
So yes, this woman created a page on TikTok that is dedicated to visiting old abandoned places in America, and her primary focus is usually old slave owner homes, plantations, like homes owned by families that own slaves, and the plantation where of course the slaves worked on and stuff like that. And you guys, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, let me just play a few of the videos. So first of all, it's a weird hobby. I don't think it's a crime. It's not a direct attack or hate on black people or whatever. But I think what people found problematic is the fact that she kind of romanticized the houses and the era in which they were built and the people that lived in them. And she's like, oh, it's so beautiful. This couch is lovely. And then in the comment section, you can see a lot of fellow palm colored women and men talking about it's so beautiful. I wish I could buy that dresser. That mirror is gorgeous. I can imagine the era, the lifestyle, and this and that. It's like there's a part of their brain that's shut off and they feel like they do not understand, or maybe they feel like it never happened. The kind of agony and oppression and all of that that happened in such homes and such plantations. And it's just so weird to me. Like, do you guys have any idea what happened in those places that you're talking about and romanticizing and making it look as if it was all good and beautiful and dandy and everybody was happy in those homes? It's weird. It's so weird. And people called her out when she made this video.
Okay, so this is the Nolan plantation. Plantation was used, of course, in 1800s. Those little houses were tenant homes.
Let me play people's responses to that video.
Nolan plantation.
Go back, read the comment section as much as you can take it. They weren't tenant homes. They weren't. It's a plantation. They were enslaved Africans. It's like you guys get off on this as if an itch you can't scratch for enjoyment. There are people within the comment section telling you to stop, that you're ignorant. It's like you like the trauma our ancestors go through and still to today. You're part of the problem.
Were tenant homes.
Tenant homes? Why don't you just say what they are? Because we all know. Why are you trying to hide it? And on top of that, why are you romanticizing a time in which people were owned as property and treated as less than human on that beautiful property you're standing on? I guess I missed the part where that's beautiful, or the breathtaking part escaped me. I'd love to know where I missed it at. There are mutuals of mine in your comment section saying that their family lived on that plantation. So you didn't think that a trigger warning may have been beneficial when posting this? It'll never not be weird to me, and I know we shouldn't be shocked, but it'll never not be weird that people romanticize that time. And even to the point of where they get married at places like this. Our trauma is their entertainment.
Little houses were tenant homes.
So as someone that grew up around the country where there were a lot of these plantations, we were raised to be desensitized and not really understand the violence, atrocities, horrible things that happened on these pieces of land. You can even see in her video, she's showing a video of enslaved quarters where enslaved people lived and raised families and were beaten, and she calls them tenant homes. And this is how I was raised. I was raised like this. But I'm late to class, but once you understand and really humanize what happened and the effects of that, watching videos like this now are very, very hard because you know the truth of what happened there.
Were tenant homes.
Tenant homes? Or are those things that the slaves were given while they were on a plantation? They'd probably get in, they'd probably get tortured in. Why are you glamorizing it? Why are you calling it a tenant home? It's a plantation here in Georgia. You're trying to show off some beautiful masterpiece, but you're hiding the fact that it has a very dark history, an ugly truth behind it. Don't try to pretty it up. Those were slave homes homes, not tenant homes, ma'am. You're weird, Karen. Really.
Were tenant homes,
Tenant homes? If we're gonna continue to visit plantations like it's Disneyland, we can at least just say what it was, okay? The public should see these places, but not like this. Not the way, oof. Let's not even call those homes, okay? We know exactly what they were for, so let's not do that. You're weird for making it glamorous. You're weird as fuck.
tenant homes, tenant houses.
Oh, honey, you must be part of the Daughters of Confederacy. Those weren't tenant houses. Those were slave quarters. I don't know if maybe you didn't know, but that's what they were, because back then, white people, us, we had slaves, and they were forced to work all of that acreage for free to build that big, beautiful house that you showed us around. Thank you for the tour, by the way. It is very stunning.
So she got called out for calling those little cubicles, because I mean, those are like, I can't believe people actually live there. She got called out for calling them tenant homes, and black people do not appreciate that. They do not appreciate the whole concept of her visiting these places and romanticizing them and making her page all about that. In my own opinion, it's like making black people relive that traumatic experience. Yes, I know the people who lived on those plantations are long gone, you know, our ancestors and all of that, but the memory is still there. Like for me as a Nigerian, as an African who lives in Africa, I know that I want to visit a lot of these slave ports and all of that. The places where people who were captured to be sold to slavery were held, the seaports, we have places like that people still go for tourist visits and stuff like that.
So today I went to the Maison des Esclaves on Gory Island off the coast of Senegal. And to be honest, I'm still processing it. This was not an easy experience. This is the courtyard you see when you first walk in, and right underneath the staircases that we saw are the cells that they would keep the resistant, rebellious, enslaved people as punishment. They would pack this full of people, and I walked inside just to show how tight it was and how it's impossible to stand. You had to squat, and they would leave these people in there for a couple weeks at a time as punishment. And the emotions that came up, the fear that came up while being inside of there, surreal. I don't even know if I have words to describe it. Right across from there is the cell where they would keep the slaves who were considered too weak or feeble for the journey to the Americas, and they would feed them with a lot of beans and rice in order to get them stronger enough for the journey. Now this is a long cell that would hold hundreds of enslaved people for weeks at a time until it was their turn to go on the ships, and you couldn't leave. Any business you had to do on the floor, and you were packed shoulder to shoulder. I stood against the wall with my cousin there, and how tight it was just with two people was insane. This is where they kept the jeunes filles, the young girls and young women that the captors would most likely choose from while they were there to. And this is another cell where they would punish the more resistant, rebellious slaves, packed again with one window. The heaviness I felt walking in these rooms and cells, I couldn't really articulate words. I tried to do video diaries, but all I could do was cry. I just had to feel the emotions, and they were painful emotions. Like, I'm still processing them, and I'm probably going to be processing them for a really long time, you know? The emotions I felt the strongest was when I was approaching the door of no return. And you see here like the long hallways where they would pack them again and line them up to get onto the ships from this door of no return. Standing here, I had to pace back and forth and brace myself before I was able to stand right there, because this was the most intense feeling I had out of the entire visit. To be honest, one of the most difficult things with processing my emotions while there was having to do so in the presence of white people. It felt so physically and emotionally invasive, and looking at the difference in how they were processing and being excited to take pictures behind bars and telling their own watered down version of history and of slavery, it just contributed to the anger, to the fear and anxiety that I was already having.
I intend to visit places like that. And I've seen videos of people who visit places like that. And when Black people visit places like that, you know, there's this overwhelming feeling of sadness, and people break down and shed tears there. And I'm sure that that's going to be the same with me when I see those chains and I see the things that people who sold slaves were given in exchange, you know, the umbrellas and stuff like that. So I know that I'm going to break down when I visit those places. So I'm imagining that that is the same way, you know, Black people in America would feel when they visit the places that this particular woman is visiting and romanticizing. So I know, I already know, just thinking about it, there's going to be this overwhelming feeling of sadness, and you're going to be picturing these things happening in your mind's eye to your ancestors. So is it that white people are incapable of having these feelings, or is that how deep the anti-blackness has eaten, that they've lost their humanity, that they cannot see that these places are not places that should be glorified or romanticized? Yeah, I think it was right that she was called out. She probably never expected to get that backlash, but I'm happy that people called her out on it, and it's just not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not. You guys, just let me know what you think in the comment section. What do you think about the whole thing? I think it's weird. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. Also turn on notifications so that YouTube lets you guys know whenever I drop a new video. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.